In this video, we're going to be going over how to create a line graph in PowerPoint when you have already your data ready to go. So before we do anything, I just want to make sure you know that in order to create a line graph, you have to make sure you're using the desktop version of PowerPoint. If you're using the online version of PowerPoint, you're not going to have this feature. So make sure you download first the PowerPoint version, the desktop version, and this will allow you to create a line graph. So once you're ready to go on your desktop version of PowerPoint, you're going to go to the Insert tab. You're going to go ahead and look for where it says Chart. And you have so many different charts you can insert, but for this particular assignment, we do need a line graph. So I'm going to go ahead and press Line. There's so many different ones, but today we're going to go with this one, the line with markers, because it creates the lines and it creates the little points representing each one of the ordered pairs. Don't freak out once you press OK. You're going to get this, you're going to get your table that's going to pertain to your line graph. So your table is just super general, and then you're going to have to edit it as you go. In this particular project, I have two sets of data, so I don't need a third column. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. And I'm going to stick around to two different lines that I'm going to be doing. In this project, I have created some ordered pairs that pertained to one of the formulas I was working with. So those ordered pairs, I'm going to have to manually input them into the Excel sheet that pertains to the table we're going to be doing here. When you input your data, just make sure you label it correctly. Like I said, in this particular project, I'm going to be comparing two different types of investments. The first one is what we call, oh my goodness, I forgot how to spell. There we go. Compounded quarterly. And then my other line was going to be representing the compounded continuous. So again, this is in my particular project. I have those two different types of lines I'm going to be comparing. Like I mentioned, you have to have your order pairs ready to go because all you have to do now is just input them into the Excel sheet. So in this, in my data, I have X values that start at 0, and then they go to 5, 10, 15, and then 36 on mine. And then in the Y values, you just input them. So I'm going to go ahead and just give me a minute here. We have 3768, 4712 with 80 cents, 5894 with 60 cents, 7372.60, and then finally 18869. So if you notice, again, let me just make this bigger. I just inputted my ordered pairs. That's it. So just make sure you input them correctly. So these ordered pairs represent my compounded quarterly equation, so I put them under the compounded quarterly. And then I'm going to scroll down because I also had another set of ordered pairs here, but these are the ordered pairs that I got for the compounded continuously. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those here, and I'm just going to input them. If you notice, the 0, the 5, 10, 15, 36 are the same X values here. And then I just input my Y value. So give me a minute here, 3768, 4718 and 80 cents, 5909 with 40 cents, 7400 with 50 cents, and 19040 with no cents. So once you have all of your data here, you're going to go back to your table and you're going to notice that not much changed, right? So what you can do here, if you notice, these did change, and I mean, nothing changed in response to the colors or the format, but what did change were the values. So if you notice, my two titles that I have here are now the labels of the graph, and now the points are actually corresponding to the points that I have here. So you have 0 to 36 is going to be on your x-axis, and then these y values are on the y-axis. Since my two lines are very similar, like if you notice the values are pretty much very close, that's why you don't see it, but there are two lines here. There's one like in dark blue and there's one in light blue. Once your data is correct, you want to always make sure you double check that nothing was incorrect. Once you double check, you could just close this, and now your line graph is ready. Of course, it's not perfect, so we are going to have to go right now and make some modifications, but this is the line graph. So I'm going to go ahead and just make it a little bit smaller so it fits perfectly in my slide. Now, to make a appropriate line graph, we do have to add certain things to it. So first thing you want to do is make sure you have a decent chart title. So in my particular project, what this line graph represents is a comparison of two different investments. I'm going to go ahead and put comparison of investments. And you always have to give it a chart name. So there we go. Now, something else you have to do is you have to have access labels. So the way you're going to go about that is you're going to press the plus sign here, and it lets you add chart elements. So I want axis title, so I'm going to go ahead and press that. And it gives me an axis title for the y-axis and one for the x. In my particular example, the x-axis in my case represents the years working as a dentist. And then again, since these are equations for investment, this right here represents the amount accumulated. Okay, so that gives you a little thing here to play around with the axis titles. Now, one more thing to make this line graph perfect is to add data values. So I'm not sure where these numbers represent. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just press the whole graph. Go ahead and press this plus sign, and we're going to add data labels. If you notice what this does, it adds numbers where I can see where each one of those ordered pairs is at or where it belongs. Now, the bad thing about this, as you can see, is that they're very hard to read because they're overlapping. So what you're going to be responsible for doing is coming here and manually moving these, or you might have to double click and then you could move it around. So you can move this a little bit here. Now you have to be very careful because the way I did it right now, now the two different labels are in different places, so I can read them properly, but the highest value is actually on the bottom. So I'm going to have to go back in there, and this one has to be on the top. And this is the one that has to be on the bottom because this is a lower number. So there you go, something like that where the two values are not overlapping. So just give me a minute here. I'm going to continue moving these here just so I can have them not overlapping, making it nice and pretty. Same thing goes here. This one goes up here. So again, double check that the smallest value is on the bottom and the other one is on top. All right. Okay, we're almost done here. Obviously, you don't see it here, but there's actually two values here. There's one on the top and there's one on the bottom here. Okay, there you go. So this is what I want to see, right? I want to have a line graph with two different lines. Obviously, they're not very separated because they're very similar, but your values can be distinguished like that. So again, the 19,040 is greater than the 18,869, so that one should go on top. So just to recap, your line graph has to have a title. It has to have axis labels. It has to have the data values, the data labels that represent all of the ordered pairs. We should have a total of 10 in my particular project. And then we have the two lines and their labels. I have to know what the line graph means. Okay, so that is pretty much how to create a line graph in PowerPoint.